Hey, good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing great. Let's open it up for questions.
How is Michael Pierce doing? And if he can't go, would you think Armin Watts would be the guy there at nose tackle? And then also, how do you think Watts did against Cleveland?
First, he's doing okay. He's in the training room rehabbing, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes with him. Amon played very well in the game for us on Sunday, and I feel very comfortable with him and giving James Lentz a chance to play if he can't play. So I feel comfortable with my group. I don't have any concerns about that.
And is leaving Dalvin Tomlinson at his spot just kind of help him focus on what he's been doing?
Well, I can rotate either any way that I want. They all have to know how to play three. They all have to know how to play nose. Dalvin had I think 8 to 10 plays on Sunday last week where he ended up playing nose because they make us have to do that. So, I got all kinds of options I can use, and I'm just going to roll with what I think is the best option, during that time.
You measure physicality, and were the Browns the most physical team you played?
Uh, I don't know if I want to say most physical. I mean, it was a physical game, but they run a different variety of runs. That's the difference between them and most teams that you play. Most teams that you play have a style of running game like they're either press or bellies, zone blocking schemes, or you may play a team that's a gap blocking team. But they run a lot of different variety of runs. And that's the deal that makes them difficult to defend because they can start off running presses, then they can come back and run power. They can come back and run gap scheme back on the weak side, and we saw it all on Sunday.
What's the hardest to defend against, a zone scheme or a gap scheme?
Well, it's all different. You know what I mean? I can't say one is more easier than the other. The gap scheme stuff is making sure that guys are able to fit things up going downhill. It's coming downhill at you. The zone blocking stuff is more difficult because they're stretching you, and then they create seams on the front side and the back side. So that's the part that makes it difficult. The zone blocking stuff, everybody's involved in the run game because the ball could cut back any place. Safeties, corners, everybody's involved. Usually in the gap scheme stuff, it's the front seven that's dealing with the run game. So, that's the part that's difficult.
Andre, why don't more teams try to vary it like that and be more unpredictable?
I don't know. I really can't answer that question for you. I don't know.
Maybe it's a talent on the offensive line that they have that maybe
Could
some
be.
other teams don't.
It could be the offensive line they have. It could be the style of running backs they have too. They have two backs that do a good job of being able to have vision that can see things open up when it's stretching, but also be able to be physical downhill runners too on the gap scheme stuff. Some teams don't have backs that are built to be able to take the wear and tear that you're going to take when you run the gap scheme style running game. So I think that plays a part in it too.
How do you feel about your depth at cornerback with two guys on the COVID list? Boyd missed with a hamstring, and I presume Breland's probably better. You could probably address that as well.
Again, we got to wait and see how that all plays out during the week. But it's like I've said to you guys before. My philosophy is to coach everybody because you never know what's going to happen. So you got to get guys prepared to play, even though they have not played up until this point. That's the deal with the NFL. And so we work hard on coaching all our guys. And when I say all our guys, I'm even talking about the practice squad guys. Those guys just don't look at cards and be the look team, for the other team's defense. They're getting coached. And I look at our offense when our scout team guys are going, and I watch the tape of our guys on defense. And I coach those guys up, even though they're looking like the other team's defense, because I never know when they're going to have to come up and play. It could happen at any moment. So when you do that, you feel comfortable when you have to make change because somebody's hurt or whatever the case may be. So and we've done that with the backers. We've done that with the secondary guys. So the next guys come up and they have to go play and they have to go execute.
Hey, Andre, has Everson's play warranted a bigger role, do you think?
I've told you guys from day one what I was going to do with Ev, right? I got to do what I told you I was going to do. His role has to remain the same. Okay? I got to get him through 17 games. Right? And I've said a long time ago, when I say that, I'm talking to myself. Right? I mean, he's playing very well. And he looks like the old Everson to me. Right? But I still got to keep in my mind he's 33 years old. Right? And I've got to make sure that we still have Ev with us week 17. Looking like Ev. That's the key. See, so his role is going to remain the same.
You have to have that conversation with him as he
No.
starts to see the success
No,
again.
he's been great. He's been outstanding. You know, we were upfront from day one what we were going to do and what his role was. I felt confident, and he felt confident that us working together that I could get him back to be Ev, and that's happened. And so he feels good about where. And when he comes up here, you can ask him too. But he feels good about where he is right now, and that's what we have to do. And he goes in the game and he gives us energy. He's a playmaker. He makes things happen, and he's given us all the things that we hope that he would give us. And my role is to make sure that I can make sure that happens throughout the course of the season.
And the other part of that is it's still important to you guys to develop, make sure DJ kind of comes along as that every down player too. As
Oh
he
yeah,
kind of
no,
develops.
DJ's playing good. I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but the bottom line is everybody evaluates defensive linemen off sacks. Okay? And I've said it a long time ago. Sacks are low priority. Okay? I want you guys to think about this for a second. Okay? Through the course of a season, a defensive lineman will take 450 to 500 pass snaps. Okay? If he has 12 sacks, he's a Pro Bowl player. Okay? 450 to 12. Okay? If you were a baseball player, or you on a major league team, if you were 450 to 12 as a batter? No. If you're an NBA player and you're 450 to 12 on shooting the ball, are you even on the team? No. Okay? So if you take a D lineman and you put all his value on sacks, it's not smart. It's not smart. Now, I get it. They get paid off sacks. But sacks don't win you games. They don't. That's just the fact of the matter. Now, Griff's sack before the half was a big-time game-changing play. So the whole world sees that, okay? But I can go through a game, and I've had it before in my career, where a guy had 3 sacks in the game, and the whole world writes he played a great game. Those are only 3 good plays he had the whole game. Played horrible. 3 of 57 plays. You see what I'm saying? So it's about being a complete football player. That's what it's about. And so I get it. It's easy for everybody to pull out the stat sheet and say, oh, he has no sacks, so that means he's playing bad. No, that's wrong, okay? Playing technique right, being in the right place, getting pressures on the quarterback, okay? The thing we did good on Sunday is we made that quarterback uncomfortable. He was uncomfortable. We got him off the spot. We made him nervous, made throws erratic, okay? Well, that's why he didn't throw for over 200 yards. That's what helps you win games, not sacks. Now, my job as a coach is to get the players to believe that, right? Because they believe what everybody else says, that it's all about sacks, right? And they know they get paid. Well, now a guy gets in the game and he's desperate to get a sack at all costs, and now he destroys the whole defense. So it's the hardest thing I have to do as a coach to get the guys to understand it's about being a complete defensive lineman. That's what it's about.
That 33-yard run on a 3rd and 16, did that psychologically hurt your team?
No, not at all. I mean, they ran a draw, and we misfitted, and that was the longest run of the game. That was it was like right before the half. So psychologically, you can tell that it didn't because we came out the second half and we played good on defense. So, plays like that happen. So, no, it didn't. If we'd have fit it up right, it probably would have been a 10 to 12-yard play because you're defending the field at that time, not the first down marker. But we didn't fit it up correctly, and so that's the reason why it was a longer play.
Do you see anything on tape in the first 4 games that needs to be cleaned up in the run game? Mike Zimmer said he wasn't all that concerned, even though the stats don't paint a great picture.
Well, there's always things we got to clean up. It's that way every week. You strive to go play perfect, and it never happens that way. There's always things we got to go clean up. Whether that's in the run game or whether that's in our rush plan or whether that's on the back end coverage wise. There's always things that you have to go clean up. But they ran the ball, I think, 38 times in the course of the game, and the 2 draws were the biggest, most explosive run plays. We were holding them to 3s and 4s and 3s, a 2, a 1. That's what you got to do against a team like that. And then the 2 draws is what gave the yardage to be really, really big.
Andre,
What can you expect of Barr? It's been a long time since he's played.
Number one, his leadership is going to help us. He's a calming influence in the huddle. The offense has to account for him, so that's going to help us too. And then we just got to make sure we keep our eyes on him and that we don't overplay him. We understand this is first time playing, and you get a new toy out there that's a good player. You want to ride it till the wheels fall off, but we can't do that. So we got to make sure we're smart with him too.
Andre, going back to DJ, just what have your guys' evaluations been of him so far?
Well, I think he's played well. He's played really good in the run game. He's playing like 3 different positions at times. He's smart. He's physical. He's made plays in the run. He's been close to getting a sack. He's had pressures in every game, so he just got to keep building on it. Just keep building on it. And like I tell him all the time, the hardest one to get is the first one. The first sack of the season is always the hardest one to get. And then once you get it, then they usually start to come in bunches. So he just got to keep grinding and keep doing what he's doing and not panic and not fall into all the stuff that he reads or hears.
With James being a healthy scratch in the first 4 games, is that just kind of a matter of the talent in front of him? And what have you seen kind of in practice?
James is doing very well. I like James Lynch a lot, and he may have a chance that he can play this week. We'll see how the week turns out, and I'm very confident when we put him on the field that he's going to go out and play well. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Well, you're not huge on sack stats. I mean, can they change the complexion of the game? I mean, looking back at that famous 10-sack game against the Lions coming in this week in 2018, that totally changed the complexion of the game, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a big day. They have their role. I'm not saying that they don't have their role. We all strive to go get them. I just know, without a shadow of a doubt, that pressures on the quarterback compute to winning more than sacks. Okay, I've had games where the quarterback's thrown for 425 yards and we had a 7-sack day. Okay, and we lost. I've had games where the quarterback's thrown for 190 yards and we had 1 sack, and it was a beatdown. You know what I mean? Because he felt a lot of pressure, and the quarterback was going to make sure he didn't get sacked. He's going to throw the ball away. He's going to throw it in the ground. So, they can't make any explosive plays. So I'm not trying to say sacks doesn't have value. I'm saying that it's not the end all when you evaluate defensive linemen.
Andre, when it comes to overcoming the 1 and 3, I mean, you've been here for teams that have started off slow or started off 2 and 2, and then overcome that to have great seasons. Is there a common thread between those teams in the past that have overcome that?
Well, I think that I said this to the defense yesterday. Okay, there's a difference between panicking and having a sense of urgency. There's 2 different things. Okay, and so the big thing right now is we just need to have a sense of urgency of doing things correct, and that's what it comes down to. The NFL season is a long marathon. Do we like being 1 and 3? We don't. Okay, but we have the ability to change it by going out and focusing and being locked in, playing more consistently as a team, and that's how you get a win. And then one win builds to another, and then it builds to another, and then it builds to another. I think, Larry, you probably remember in '99. In '98 we were 15-1. Okay, in '99 I think we started off like 2-6 or something like that. 2-6 or 2-5. It was something like that, and we ended up 10-6 and went to the playoffs. And You know, the whole world was panicking around us here in Minnesota. You know, everybody expecting us to go back to the Super Bowl, right? Or go to the Super Bowl, because '98 we're 15-1, and we missed a field goal to keep us from going to the Super Bowl, where we're 2-5 or 2-6 or something like that. And Denny stayed calm. Okay, just keep working, man. It's gonna change. Just keep getting better. Just keep getting better. Just keep getting better. And that's exactly what happened. You remember that, don't you? And we made a run, right? So, and I've been on the opposite, where I was in Denver. I can't remember the year now, but the year before we were 14-2, and we lost in the championship game to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The year they won the Super Bowl, and we came back the next year with the same team, right? And we started the season out at 6-1, I think it was, or 7-1. Everybody had us as the number 1 seed in the AFC, and we finished that season at 10-6. So it can happen both ways. So the number one thing is to just keep your team focused on grinding to get better and grinding to improve, and understand that's a long haul. And the number one focus right now is the Detroit Lions, and nothing else matters. Nothing that happened in the past, and nothing that happens in the future. It's just about this week and that team.
How do you get to Jared Goff's head? Because he can be a great quarterback.
Yeah, he's a good, really good quarterback. We got to make him feel our presence. You know, the front four has to make him feel our presence, and we've got to rush. We got to get around him and make him feel our presence.
Andre, have the changes at cornerback helped the rush this year?
Yeah, you know, it's helped some. Yeah, I mean, you know, they're making the quarterback hold the ball a little bit longer. But, you know, when you put on third down, when you put Daniil, Griff, DJ, and Sheldon out there, there's 4 really good athletes that are coming. And so, you know, it makes the O-lineman nervous, which in turn makes the quarterback nervous. You know, there was a reason that, you know, Kevin on those third downs didn't drop back, you know, screens, draws, you know, those kind of things. So that was out of respect for the D-line and out of respect for our pressure package.
So understanding that guys respond differently to different types of, teaching. And when you're talking about making sure a guy understands that they really do need to be a complete player, they don't need to worry too much about what we worry about. What is one of the more effective ways you can get that point across to somebody?
I think I've probably used every tool that I've had to try to get that done, right? Because they've heard from high school that as a D lineman, it's all about sacks, right? And then they go to college and they hear that it's all about sacks, right? And then they look on TV at the bottom of the screen on ESPN and see Jack Smith just got paid $170 million or whatever because he had 15 sacks last year. So they believe that it's the best thing to do. And, you know, so what I have to do is show them how it computes to winning and losing, and to get them to understand that I'm not telling them that sacks are not important, that I want them to get sacks, but they can't be desperate, and that it all is about the sack. And every play, all I'm trying to do is get a sack. That doesn't compute to helping your team win. And I think here it helps me because, you know, I raised Daniil that way. You know, Griff's back. I've raised him that way. So I got voices in the room that have my back that understand that. So it was a major change when I got here for Griff because of the group that he was raised with that saw it that way. But he bought into it, and it hasn't hindered him one bit. You know, I don't know, I think he's number 4 or 5 or something on the all-time sack list here. But you have to use every tool that you have to try to convince them that that's the right thing to do, because they've been getting a different message their whole life.
You have examples then.
Yeah.
Those two to show
Right.
that.
How do you fight it when those examples come from GMs with the paying them that for the fence?
Well, I mean, you know, that part I don't get involved with the money, so I stay out of that. You know, I've never had fortunately I've never had a GM, you know, come to me and say, hey, you need to make them just be worried about sacks. You know, so I've been fortunate that way, that I haven't had a GM or a head coach or a defensive coordinator, you know, come to me and say that. You know, usually we're pretty good at pressures and sacks on the quarterback. But I'm more, at the end of the game, I want to see the pressure totals more than I want to see the sack totals, because I know that computes more to winning and losing. And this is about winning. That's what this profession is all about. It's about winning football games. And I want to make sure my guys do the best they can to give us the best opportunity to win.